Excuse me. Sir. I turned. The woman with too much lip gloss and not enough patience waved an empty champagne flute in my direction like I was a dog who'd forgotten his cue. Over here, she said, voice cutting through the music. More rows. And be quick about it. We're about to do the toast. I blinked at her. Before I could answer, Madeline's voice slid in like cold syrup. He's new, she told the woman, giving me a sideways glance. Still learning where everything is. I stared at her. My wife. My partner, supposedly. Standing in 6-inch heels and a sequin dress so tight it looked stitched onto her bones, she didn't even flinch. Just tilted her head, that smug look dancing at the corner of her mouth like she was enjoying herself. Isn't that right, Elliot? She said sweetly. You're just helping out tonight. Part-time. My voice caught somewhere in my chest. I could feel the flush climbing my neck, my fists tightening by instinct. You're kidding, I said under my breath. She leaned in, smiling for the crowd but muttering so only I could hear. You want to stand here like a statue? Then own it. Otherwise, go home and change into something that doesn't scream regional manager of aisle 5. I looked down at my dark charcoal blazer, the one she insisted I never wear to formal events because it was too practical. My shirt, pressed crisp that morning. Black dress pants. Nothing flashy, but nothing cheap either. You're really doing this? I asked. Doing what? She widened her eyes like a cartoon princess. Oh, come on. Don't pout. You didn't even RSVP. What did you expect? A spotlight. She turned to the woman waiting, fake laughed, then gestured toward the bar. He'll take care of you. Won't you, sweetheart? Madeline, I said, low and even. Stop. Stop what? She said, blinking in that mocking way she had when she was fully in character. I told you not to come if you were going to mope. You blend better behind the bar anyway. There it was. No hesitation. Just poison and pearls. You're enjoying this, I said. She shrugged. It's not every day you bring a man to a gala who looks like he showed up to fix the HVAC. You invited me. Technically, it was a formality. Let's not make it a scene. She reached for a glass from a passing tray and took a sip like I wasn't standing there, like I hadn't just had my dignity scraped off the floor in front of 30 strangers. You didn't even introduce me, I muttered. To who? She said, scanning the room like she'd forgotten I existed. My clients? My boss? Elliot, what would I even say? This is my husband, the warehouse whisperer. She was smirking now. It wasn't even subtle. You know what they call me at work? She said, brushing imaginary lint off her dress. What? I said flatly. Madeline Cresswell, she grinned. Like the company's named after me. I built that reputation, brick by brick. You think I'm gonna risk that because you suddenly decided to grow a spine in public? You're unbelievable. No, she snapped. I'm necessary. You think I like lying about you? About us? You think I enjoy pretending you're some kind of consultant just so people don't Google your job title and laugh? It's a logistics firm. It's a warehouse with a nice font, Elliot. My hands were shaking now. Not out of rage. Out of control. Out of sheer, sharp clarity. I glanced to the left. 2 execs from marketing were watching, half turning away, trying to hide their smirks. One of them whispered, is that her husband? I thought he was catering. And Madeline didn't correct them. Didn't blink. Just smiled and took another sip. I didn't move. Not at first. Because beneath the heat in my face and the burn in my chest, something calm was blooming. Cold. I looked past her, across the marble-floored lobby, past the string quartet and the laughing staffers, toward the wide-arched doorway near the back of the venue. And standing just beyond it, Derek Alton, founder, CEO, 51% stakeholder of Crestwell Biotech, and the man who shook my hand 2 years ago when I injected $12.6 million of quiet capital into their failing startup through a holding company registered in Delaware. Excuse me, I said. Where are you going now? Madeline asked, sipping again. To do my job, I said without looking at her. The one you said I wasn't qualified for. She rolled her eyes. Try not to spill anything. I walked. Past the catering table. Past the finance team. Right up to Derek Alton. Mr. Altman, I said, extending my hand. He turned, mid-laugh with another VP, but stopped cold when he saw me. Well, I'll be damned, he said. Branner, good to see you. I didn't think you were coming. Thought I'd surprise you, I said, glancing back at the woman still sipping champagne and pretending I wasn't real. You've met my wife, I said. His eyes widened. Madeline is your wife? She is. She's on our marketing team, he said. Very assertive. That's one word for it. You never mentioned the connection. She didn't either. Derek chuckled. Well, hell, let me make this right. He tapped his glass twice. The room stilled. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, stepping into the center. Before we move to dinner, I want to take a moment to recognize someone very important to Crestwell's journey. Madeline turned slowly. I saw her eyebrows twitch. He's been behind the scenes for 2 years, a key partner through our transition and growth, Derek continued. And it's about time we gave him the credit he never asked for. Elliot Branner, he said, lifting his glass. Without your strategic investment and guidance, we wouldn't be standing here. The applause started slow, confused, hesitant. Then it grew. People turned. Madeline stared at me like she was trying to solve a riddle in a foreign language. I stepped forward, took the mic. I'd like to thank my wife, I said, smiling at her, for reminding me what silence costs. The room went dead quiet. She didn't blink. I handed the mic back, walked off the stage, and for the first time in 8 years, she didn't follow me. I should have expected the performance. Madeline was always more actress than partner. But what she did when I walked down those stairs, that wasn't just cruelty. That was strategy. The gala was in full swing. Laughter bounced off the marble. Champagne glasses clinked like tiny weapons, and the orchestra swelled at just the wrong moment. She took 2 steps forward, heels clicking like a metronome of malice, and pointed right at me descending the stairs. Him, she laughed, loud, sharp. He can't be the one Derek's talking about. People turned. She kept going. Derek must be joking. This guy? That's my husband. Elliot Branner. Sweet, quiet, incapable Elliot. He once got lost in IKEA. You really think he's some kind of financial wizard? Nervous chuckles. The regional director blinked slowly. A colleague from finance whispered behind her hand. Wait, he's married to her? Madeline took a long sip of her champagne like it was applause. Let's be real, she said. There's no way this man saved anything, let alone a biotech company. He's been riding along in the passenger seat since we got married. I stopped 3 steps from the bottom. Derek stared at her, frozen. The whole room tilted toward her, eyes wide with the anticipation of a car crash. And she smirked, like this was her stage. It can't be true, she finished. Because he's just not that kind of man. And then Derek, God bless him, took the mic back. Well, Madeline, thank you for that colorful intro, he said dryly. But you're mistaken. He turned toward the crowd. Let me clarify something. The man you see there, Elliot Branner, didn't just invest in Crestwell. He's the reason we survived 2022. The silent capital, the restructuring guidance, the pivot strategy, Elliot was behind all of it. From the shadows, by choice. Silence. Then slow, confused applause. Madeline looked like someone had ripped the floor out from under her. And I just smiled. Walked to Derek. Shook his hand. Dead quiet. And then I walked out. That night, she didn't come home. I didn't ask why. But 3 days later, I found a letter in the mailbox. Handwritten. No return address. Just my name, sloppily pinned across the envelope. Inside. Hey Elliot. I know this is hard. But Madeline and I are in love. We didn't mean for it to happen, but feelings don't lie. You're only making this worse by pretending she still wants you. Let her go. Let us be happy. She's better with someone her age anyway. No hard feelings, man. Just don't get in the way. Jax. I stared at the signature like it might rearrange itself. Jax. I checked the postmark. It had been mailed from our own zip code. That night, I opened her laptop. She always left it in sleep mode, confident I'd never touch it. But I did. Quick searches, cached Instagram tabs. And there he was. Jax Everest 21, a cocky username for a cockier boy. Pictures of him shirtless, skateboarding, drinking on rooftops. And in one photo, her hand, clearly visible, resting on his stomach. The bracelet I gave her for our 5th anniversary dangling from her wrist like a taunt. It got worse. When she finally walked through the door, for days after the gala, she acted like nothing had happened. She dropped her heels near the door, flipped her hair. You gonna keep pouting or say hi? I looked up from the kitchen counter. Got a letter today, I said. From Jax. Her face twitched, just a fraction. She opened the fridge. Don't know what you're talking about. He said you two are in love. Said I should let you go. He's 21, right? She stopped, still facing the fridge. Jesus, she muttered. Then, are you really going to do this now? I stepped forward, voice low. Not now? Not yet. But soon. She turned slowly. Eyes narrowed. You wouldn't dare. I smiled. I already have. That night, I lit a single candle at dinner. No words exchanged. Just wine. Steak. Quiet chewing. She didn't know what was real anymore. And that was exactly how I wanted it. Let her stay comfortable. Let her think I might still be that loser she paraded down the stairs. Because the longer she stays in the dark, the sweeter it'll be when I flip on the lights. That night, I slept better than I should have. Not because I wasn't angry, but because the fog was finally lifting. There was no confusion anymore. No more, maybe she's just distant or she's stressed from work. No more wondering if I was the problem. I wasn't. I was the plan she never expected to backfire. The next morning, I put on a clean shirt, straightened my tie, and for the first time in months, I walked into the Crestwell Biotech building not as the husband of, not as a shadow investor, not as a man hiding in spreadsheets, but as Elliot Branner, owner of 48% equity. Silent no more. The receptionist blinked when she saw me badge in. "Mr. Branner?" "Good morning," I said, walking right past her. On the fourth floor, outside one of the smaller conference rooms, I paused. Voices filtered out through the door. Madeline's. And his. Jack's. He was standing inside my company, laughing like he belonged. "Trust me," she was saying, her voice dripping with that smug condescension she usually reserved for me. "He doesn't know a thing. Elliot's like a golden retriever with a spreadsheet. Friendly, clueless, loyal to the end." Jack snorted. "And rich," he added. "That too," she said. "That's why I need to play nice for now. Just a little longer." After that. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. I already knew. Then I heard the unmistakable shuffle of movement, laughter, and a faint wet sound. I turned the corner and saw them. Jax had her backed up against the side of the filing cabinets, her blouse slightly wrinkled, his hand on her hip, her lips on his. At work. In my building. On company property. Not even trying to hide. They kissed again, then straightened up, casually flipping a folder between them like they were discussing strategy. I didn't walk in. Didn't clear my throat. Didn't make a scene. Not yet. I just stood in the hallway long enough to burn their faces into memory. Then turned. Walked back toward the executive wing. My office newly assigned. My future newly focused. Because now I had confirmation. Now I had fuel. Now I had witnesses. And revenge, I realized, isn't loud. It's silent. It's strategic. It's best served just after they think they've won. The Monday after the hallway kiss, I took my place in the Crestwell boardroom. No more shadows. No more playing dumb. The conference table was long, glass, sterile. Derek Alton sat at the head. To his right, Lydia from legal. To his left, me. Madeline walked in 3 minutes late, designer tote slung over her shoulder, hair curled like a campaign poster. She stopped mid-step when she saw me at the table. "Elliot," she said, blinking. I didn't look up from my notes. Didn't smile. Didn't flinch. "Good morning," I said coolly. "You're late." Her mouth opened. Closed. She took the only available chair across from me. I caught the flash of panic behind her fake lash stare. And I cherished it. It hit me at the very first leadership conference we attended together. This was 2 years ago, before the secrets, before the affair, when I still believed her ambition was equal to her talent. The hotel ballroom was packed with founders, CFOs, consultants. Derek had insisted we bring Madeline along, said it would be a good networking opportunity for the junior marketing leads. Madeline took the stage for a 5-minute panel intro. I watched her step into the spotlight, heels sharp, dress flawless. And I waited for insight, strategy, a glimpse of the visionary she told everyone she was. Instead, she rattled off buzzwords like a Pinterest board in a power suit. "No, yeah, totally, Crestwell is really leaning into authentic engagement strategies while maintaining disruptive brand resonance." What? Half the room blinked like they'd missed a subtitle. The other half politely typed nothing into their laptops. She didn't notice. She thought she nailed it. I remember watching her pose for photos afterward, all teeth and tan lines, while Derek murmured quietly to a VP, "She looks great on the site. Let's just keep her out of Q&A." That was the first time I saw her clearly, not as my wife, but as a polished facade, a pretty picture, painted over shallow canvas. And now, I met with Lydia from legal privately that afternoon. Any reason Madeline should have unsupervised spending rights on the new Crestwell PR budget? I asked. Lydia raised an eyebrow. "You suspect misuse?" "I suspect theft." She didn't laugh. She just started typing. By Wednesday, we had a forensic audit underway quietly. No alarms. No noise. But it was moving. That Thursday, Madeline's father showed up at the office. Alan Crestwell, founder of the original Crestwell Diagnostics before the merger. Now retired. Still nosy. I passed him in the hallway. He stopped. "You again," he said. I turned. "Nice to see you too, Alan. You playing house in the executive wing now?" I smiled. "More like cleaning it." He looked around. "Where's my daughter?" Probably with her in turn. He frowned. I patted him on the shoulder. Check the break room. Or under the desk. You never know these days. He stared at me like he wasn't sure if I was joking. I wasn't. That evening, Derek pulled me aside after a partner dinner. We're restructuring marketing, he said. I've seen the numbers. Madeline's department is a mess. I know, I said. I've seen the files. He gave me a look. You're good at this, Elliot. Being betrayed? Or pretending I wasn't? He chuckled. I mean leadership. He paused. There's a spot opening. Global strategy. I want you in it. I didn't answer right away. Just raised my glass. I'll think about it. What I didn't say was, I already planned to take it. And use it. And leave her nowhere to run. It was a Friday when I saw Jax leaving the office alone. Madeline wasn't with him. Curiosity got the better of me. I followed. Not closely. Just enough to see him walk 2 blocks to a beat-up apartment complex on 9th Street. He fumbled with a key. Dropped a soda. Swore. Inside, the light flickered. He wasn't a mastermind. He was a stupid boy with abs and ambition and no idea what kind of man he was taunting. I left a note in his mailbox. It read, She's not coming with you. She never was. B. No threats. Just the truth. She didn't come home that weekend. Didn't call. Didn't lie. I used the time well. Spoke with the audit team. Approved expense freezes. Pulled 3 confidential contracts from her inbox and handed them to Lydia for review. By Monday, Madeline's access to financial approvals was temporarily suspended for compliance reasons. She stormed into my office. You did this. I didn't look up. You kissed a boy in my building. Her eyes went wide. You don't get to act like a victim now, I added. You ran the con. You staged the show. You kissed him between file cabinets like it was summer camp. Stay out of this, she snapped. I stood, walked around the desk, leaned close enough to smell her panic. You married into this, I whispered. But I built it. With real money. Real decisions. You're just the lighting. She slapped me. I didn't flinch. Thanks, I said calmly. I needed that on record. Then I opened the door and let her walk out. Everyone saw. Especially Jax, who was watching from the end of the hall. Monday afternoon, I held a board session. Private. Derek. Lydia. Alan. 2 outside directors. I handed out folders. Inside, expense reports, screenshots, chat logs, and the letter from Jax. No drama. No yelling. Just facts. By Wednesday, Madeline was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Her badge was disabled. Her name scrubbed from the site. And her office? Vacant. The door slightly ajar like a ghost still lingered inside. I walked past it on the way to my own. Didn't look in. Didn't need to. Because the next phase was already in motion. And Madeline? She still didn't know that this was only the middle. They always say narcissists circle back when they feel the power slipping. I expected rage. I expected denial. She showed up Thursday night. I'd changed the locks, but I guess muscle memory brought her to the front door anyway. I heard the keys fumbling, then a soft knock. Repeated. Aggressive. I opened it halfway. And there she was. Hair curled. Makeup done. Dressed in a navy wrap dress I'd bought her 3 years ago for our anniversary. She held a bag from Whole Foods in one hand and a bottle of wine in the other. Before you slam the door, she said quickly, just let me cook. I stared at her. You think I care about dinner? She tilted her head. No. I think you missed the version of me that wasn't terrified and insane. Let me show you that she still exists. I don't know why I let her in. Maybe curiosity. Maybe ego. Maybe because part of me wanted to see what someone looks like when the curtain's falling and they're still trying to smile. She cooked in silence. The smell was nostalgic. Garlic, lemon, white wine. Candlelight flickered across the kitchen table. And for just a moment, it felt like a scene from a different life. Then she sat down across from me, hands shaking slightly, eyes watery. And she spoke. I messed up. It wasn't loud. Wasn't theatrical. Just hollow. I was scared, she whispered. You were always so still. Calm. Like I couldn't reach you. Like I was failing. You were. She winced. I'm not making excuses. I just. A tear rolled down her cheek. Then another. I hate him. Jax. I hate myself more. It wasn't love. It was escape. I was drowning and I dragged you under to feel tall. I said nothing. She reached for my hand. I didn't move. I'm sorry, she said. Please. Please just let me fix this. You can't fix dead, I said. And we're long past life support. More tears. She stood. Walked around the table. Knelt beside me like she was in a church pew. I'm begging you, she whispered. I don't care about the job, the company, the image. Just let me come home. I stood up, walked upstairs, came back down 10 minutes later with 2 trash bags full of her things. Her dresses, her skincare, her journals, the stupid mug that said #bossbabe. I opened the front door and dropped them on the porch. Then I looked at her. You are home, I said. With him. With lies. With whatever spell you cast over yourself to survive your own reflection. Elliot, don't. I shut the door in her face, locked it, listened to her sob for 38 seconds. Then silence. Then the shuffle of retreat. Saturday, mid-morning, rain tapping the windows. I was reading in the living room when I heard the door again. I knew it was her. Didn't answer. She knocked harder, then began pounding. I opened it fast, angry, and immediately stepped back, because this time, she wasn't crying. She was smiling, eyes wide, cheeks flushed, hands behind her back like a kid holding a frog. Changed your mind? I asked flatly. No, she said sweetly. I came to warn you. Of what? Your fate. I blinked. What? She stepped forward. I visited someone. Like a therapist? She laughed. No humor in it. No, Elliot. A fortune teller. A real one. Black candles. Raven feathers. The works. I said nothing. She continued. She said your heart's blocked. That darkness surrounds you. And that if you keep pushing me away, something bad will happen. Something permanent. I raised an eyebrow. You paid someone to hex me? She didn't call it a hex, she snapped. It's a warning. She said if you keep acting like this, something inside you will rot. And what about inside you, Madeline? Did the Raven lady mention your lack of a soul? Don't mock her. I laughed. Couldn't help it. What the hell is wrong with you? She went still. Eyes dead. I told you, Elliot. You should have let it go. But now? Now it's already started. Then she walked away. Didn't look back. That night, I got a DM. From Jax. Yo. She told me everything. You're psychotic. I'm getting a restraining order if you don't back off. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then typed. Tell her I hope the curse works. I'd hate to win this war without a little magic. He left me on read. Monday. Madeline showed up at the office. Tried to badge in. Didn't work. She pounded on the glass like a lost child. Security came. She screamed that she was being erased. That Elliot was trying to kill her future. She wasn't wrong. I watched from the top floor. Didn't move. Didn't blink. Just sipped my coffee and whispered, it's not even noon yet. That night, I opened the closet in the hallway. Pulled out the last few pieces she hadn't collected. A necklace. A silk blouse. A bottle of perfume labeled irresistible. I boxed them all. Taped the box shut. And on top, I left a sticky note. It said, if you're going to cast spells, at least do it with better taste. Then I left it on her mother's doorstep. Rang the bell. Walked away. Because the thing about curses? They only work on the guilty. And I was clean now. Dead calm. It was just after 2 a.m. when I got the call. Not from her. From the police. Mr. Branner? Yes. Do you know a Madeline Crestwell? I used to. There's been an incident. She listed you as an emergency contact. We need you to confirm her information. I pinched the bridge of my nose. What kind of incident? Multiple insect stings. Severe panic reaction. The scene was chaotic. A beat. Someone released hornets. I held the phone away from my face for a moment, then brought it back. Where was this? A building on 9th Street. Of course it was. It had been brewing for days. But it snapped the night she spray-painted the front of my house. Huge red letters across the white siding. Cheater. Liar. Fraud. The irony nearly made me dizzy. She did it drunk. In a hoodie. Security cameras caught it all. And for once, I didn't call the cops. I didn't even clean it. I left it there for 2 days, so the neighbors could see just how unhinged she was. Then I power washed it off and made a plan. Finding their apartment. Jax had been easy to track. His TikTok was public, and he was too proud not to post videos from their new Love Shack, an old, 2-story brick building on 9th Street with more mold than insulation. I visited once in broad daylight. Didn't go in. Just observed. Windows wide open. Screens broken. Cracks in the side wall like the whole place was sighing under its own weight. And a tiny plaque near the fire escape that said Maintenance Entrance, West Crawl Space. Perfect. First, the ants. Carpenter ants. Big. Hungry. Aggressive in colonies. I found a local seller who thought I was conducting pest testing for an extermination business. I paid in cash. Then came the hornets. I knew a guy. Everyone knows a guy when revenge runs deep enough. They were kept in chilled containers to keep them docile until release. Then they woke up angry, just like I had. I wore gloves, black hoodie, hat low, mask tight. Like the past 2 years of my life, silent, invisible, unnoticed. I waited until just after midnight. They were home. Lights on. Laughter. I heard her giggle through the open window. I released the ants first, 2 full containers directly under the floorboards through the vent grate near the bedroom. Then I climbed the fire escape and gently set a container with 60 hornets inside their open window. Tipped it. Waited 5 seconds. And ran. It was beautiful chaos. I watched from the rooftop across the street. It started with yelling, then crashing, then the unmistakable sound of a man screaming, "Get them off me." She ran out first, barefoot, covered in welts, eyes wild. Jax followed, slapping his arms, half naked, bumping into the wall and knocking over a trash can. Neighbors came out. Someone called 911. Someone else sprayed them with a garden hose. Madeline shrieked at him. "I told you to fix the window." He yelled back. I didn't know bees had keys. I almost clapped, but I didn't. Because revenge, to me, isn't loud. It's earned. And that night, I was earning it. They were treated and released. I know because I called the hospital pretending to be Jax's older brother. The nurse sighed. They're both fine. But the male patient had an allergic reaction. Anything long-term? Embarrassment, she said flatly. He screamed, "Tell my mom I love her," while being wheeled in. I hung up and went to bed smiling. 3 days later, she showed up at my office. This time with sunglasses and a swollen lip. "You think this is funny?" She barked. "No," I said. "I think it's justice. You'll pay for this." "I already did," I said, calm. "For years. But I'm getting the receipts now." She slammed her purse on my desk. "You have no idea what I can do." "I think I have a great idea. You're impulsive. You're loud. And now you're officially jobless, publicly humiliated, and living with a boy whose greatest life achievement is going viral screaming at bugs." She turned red, shaking. "This isn't over." "It is," I said, standing up. "And you'll feel it every time something itches in the middle of the night." She stormed out of my office with red cheeks and nothing left to say, at least, not to my face. But I knew Madeline. She'd scream at shadows before she ever acknowledged her reflection. I didn't wait for her to cool off. The moment the door clicked shut, I opened my phone, found the message thread with my lawyer Jared, and typed, "Start the filing. We're done. Use everything." He responded within 2 minutes. "Copy. Already drafted. I'll submit today." And just like that, it was real. The illusion of marriage done. The photo albums? False. The vows? Performance. The woman I thought I married? A character in a story she sold to everyone, including herself. Now it was just signatures and truth. That night, the chat messages started again. Madeline had always used texting as a weapon, like a sniper who didn't want to face their target directly. Madeline, 10:32 p.m. "You always underestimate things you can't explain." Madeline, 10:41 p.m. "The curse is in motion. I hope you enjoyed the ants. That was just nature's preview." Madeline, 11:08 p.m. "You think documents protect you? Paper burns. But what's inside that rots." Madeline, 11:44 p.m. "We're coming." I stared at that last one for a long time. We're? I assumed she meant her and Jax. Or maybe the voices in her head. Either way, I locked the front gate and waited. It was just after midnight when I heard the chimes on the front motion sensor. I flicked off the hallway light, stood behind the curtain, and watched. She was back, of course, but she wasn't alone. Beside her stood a woman in a flowing black robe, real robe, not a shawl or coat. Lace sleeves, beads, a long veil over her face like something from a Victorian seance. She carried a carved wooden box and wore bare feet, her toes tattooed with small, curling symbols I didn't recognize. Behind them, the street was empty. It was just the two of them. Madeline stood front and center, cradling that ridiculous voodoo doll. She began poking it with a long silver pin. With each stab, she muttered something under her breath. Then the woman spoke. Voice deep, slurred with an accent I couldn't place. "Your spirit is already fractured, Elliot Branner. She tried to save you. Now, you must accept the rot." I opened the door just enough for them to hear me. And I laughed. Loud. Hard. Like they were street performers trying to charge me for tricks. Madeline stepped forward. "You don't understand what you've unleashed." "Enlighten me," I said. "Did the spirits authorize the joint credit line in my name too? Or was that just old-fashioned fraud?" The fortune teller raised her palm, slow and dramatic. "Do not mock what you cannot see. Your aura is black and bleeding. My patience is, too," I replied. Madeline clutched the doll tighter. We came to offer peace, she said, her voice suddenly trembling. One final warning. Stop the divorce. Stop the humiliation. Or things will spiral. Things already did, I said. You just forgot gravity always wins. The woman stepped forward now, toes curling in the dirt. She opened the box. Inside, I swear, ashes. Dried herbs. Feathers. She threw a pinch at my feet. I didn't even blink. I pulled out my phone and dialed. 911. What's your emergency? Yes. I have 2 people trespassing on my property. One is making religious threats. The other appears to be in a manic state, waving a doll with needles. I believe she may be a danger to herself or others. Madeline's eyes went wide. You're calling the cops? No, I said. I'm calling for a psych response team. The operator stayed on the line. Do not move toward them, she instructed. Stay inside and secure yourself. The fortune teller turned on Madeline, muttering something in another language. Madeline started backing up. Wait, I didn't. He's twisting this. Blue and red lights rounded the corner a minute later. That was my favorite part. How fast it all happened. The psychiatric hold. They didn't cuff her. They didn't yell. They spoke softly, hands low, voices calm. Madeline started crying, clutching the doll like it was her child. The fortune teller was questioned and released. No ID, no legal reason to detain. She simply nodded once to me before vanishing down the street, robe trailing behind her like smoke. Madeline wasn't so lucky. She screamed when they gently guided her into the back of the crisis van. You don't get to do this to me. You already did it to yourself, I said, standing on the porch. As the door closed, I added, thanks for bringing props. Makes the story so much easier to prove in court. The next morning, I filed a restraining order, attached security footage, screenshots of her chat threats, even printed a high-resolution photo of the voodoo doll she posted. Jared, my attorney, laughed as he stapled the papers. This is the weirdest divorce file I've ever seen.